First contact. The NIGMA Empire's survey vessel emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its obsidian hull absorbing, rather than reflecting the distant sunlight. On the command deck, High Commander Varrock studied the holographic projection of the third planet with cold calculation. Primitive, he noted, mandibles clicking in what his species considered amusement. Another Type 3 civilization barely out of its gravity well. Strategic Officer Malia consulted her data feeds, compound eyes processing information at speeds no human could match. Their technological development is inconsistent, Commander. They've achieved rudimentary AI integration and fusion power, yet their space presence is minimal, just a small colony on their fourth planet and automated outposts on several moons. Assessment for conquest, Varrock asked, already knowing the answer. Standard procedure. They'll fall within days, Malia confirmed. Recommend immediate integration into the Empire's resource chain. Their planet is unusually rich in biodiversity and rare minerals. The NIGMA Empire had conquered 34 star systems over the past 2 centuries, their military might unmatched in the spiral arm of the galaxy. Their technology, developed over thousands of years of evolution in the harsh environment of their homeworld Nigraxis, gave them an insurmountable advantage over younger species, or so they believed. Initiate first contact protocols, Varrock commanded. Let's see if they're intelligent enough to surrender without resistance. The NIGMA contact vessel descended toward Earth, positioning itself in geosynchronous orbit above the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva. Its arrival triggered immediate global alerts, but humanity had been watching the skies for generations. They had prepared for this moment. In the UEG crisis chamber, Secretary General Elena Reyes addressed the assembled Emergency Council, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The vessel entered our system 3 hours ago, she explained. It bypassed our outer system defenses without triggering them. Their technology is clearly far beyond our publicly acknowledged capabilities. Defense Director Han Zhang nodded grimly. Their hull composition would make them virtually invisible to conventional scanning. If not for the Sentinel program, we wouldn't have detected them until they were in orbit. And now? Asked Counselor Okafor of the African Union. Now they're calling, Elena said simply, nodding to the communications officer. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the insectoid features of a NIGMA diplomatic officer. Its carapace gleamed with embedded status indicators, and multiple limbs moved in complex patterns as it operated controls beyond the camera's view. People of Earth, the alien spoke in perfect English, evidence they had been monitoring communications long before making their presence known. I am Diplomatic Overseer Zixel of the Greater NIGMA Empire. Your world has been cataloged for integration into our domain. This is an honor extended to species with potential value. The chamber remained silent as the alien continued. Resistance is both futile and illogical. The Empire brings order, technology, and purpose to primitive worlds. Your surrender will be rewarded with preservation of 70% of your population and cultural artifacts of significance. You have 12 Earth hours to transmit your complete capitulation. The screen went dark. Elena looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. They've made their intentions clear. What are our options? Asked the European Federation representative. Director Zhang stood. Madam Secretary, I recommend implementation of the Chimera Protocol. A murmur swept through the room. The Chimera Protocol had been developed over decades, consuming trillions in black budget funding, a comprehensive defense strategy created for exactly this scenario. The public doesn't know about most of our defensive capabilities, Elena reminded the Council. Revealing them means exposing secrets we've kept for generations. Better exposed than extinct, Zhang replied simply. Elena nodded slowly. Very well. But first, we try diplomacy. On our terms. Prepare a response. 6 hours later, Earth broadcast its message to the NIGMA vessel. Secretary General Rice stood alone before the camera, her expression resolute. To the NIGMA Empire, we acknowledge your communication and recognize your technological advancement. However, we strongly advise against hostile action. Earth is not what we appear to be. We are not defenseless. Reconsider your intentions and establish peaceful contact, or withdraw from our system immediately. This is not a capitulation. It is a warning. The NIGMA response came swiftly. On the screen, Overseer Zixel's mandibles twitched in what humans would later learn was an expression of derisive amusement. Your species' arrogance is noted, the alien stated flatly. Our scans show limited orbital defenses and conventional weapon systems. Your largest military installations are already targeted. This exchange has been educational but ultimately wasteful. Prepare for preliminary strikes to demonstrate our resolve. The transmission ended. They're not listening, Elena said quietly. Implement Chimera Protocol. All phases. Around the world, hidden facilities activated. In bunkers beneath mountains, in undersea installations, and in orbital platforms disguised as commercial satellites, systems that had never been publicly acknowledged came online. Director Zhang joined Elena in the deep command center beneath the Himalayas, known only to a handful of humans alive. First strike imminent, he reported. NIGMA vessels are moving into position. And our countermeasures. Ready. Chimera defense grid at 100%. Prometheus weapons systems online. Ghost fleet awaiting deployment orders. Elena took a deep breath. Humanity has spent a century preparing for this day. We warned them. They chose not to listen. The first NIGMA energy lance struck minutes later, targeting the North American Defense Command in Colorado. The beam of concentrated particles should have vaporized the mountain and everyone inside it. Instead, it dissipated harmlessly against an invisible shield of energy that flared briefly blue before fading from view. In orbit, High Commander Varrock watched in disbelief as his attack failed. Impossible, he hissed. Scan again. Their defensive capabilities were assessed as minimal. Commander, Strategic Officer Melia's voice held an unfamiliar note. Concern. We're detecting energy signatures inconsistent with our initial scans. Multiple sites worldwide are showing advanced shielding technology. And there's something else. Report, Varrock demanded. Sir, we're detecting quantum fluctuations consistent with veil technology. Varrock's posture stiffened in shock. Impossible. Only the Ancient Ones possessed veil technology, and they vanished millennia ago. Across the NIGMA fleet, sensors began registering anomalies, energy signatures appearing and disappearing, gravitational distortions where none should exist, and quantum particles behaving in patterns that defied their understanding of physics. On Earth, Elena Rice watched the screens as humanity revealed its true technological capacity for the first time in history. They wanted a demonstration, she said quietly. Let's show them exactly what humanity is capable of. The battle for Earth had begun, and the NIGMA Empire was about to learn why humans had always excelled at one thing above all others: warfare. Unexpected resistance. High Commander Varrock's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation his subordinates rarely witnessed. The initial strike had failed completely, absorbed by defensive systems that shouldn't have existed on a Type 3 world. Tactical reassessment, he commanded. Deploy the full first wave. Target their power generation facilities and communication nodes simultaneously. Commander, Strategic Officer Melia ventured. Perhaps we should consider. Execute the attack. Varrock cut her off. The NIGMA Empire had never retreated, never reconsidered. Their dominance across 34 star systems was built on unwavering resolve and overwhelming force. Across Earth's sky, 47 NIGMA warships moved into attack formation, their weapon systems charging. This time, they would strike globally, overwhelming whatever defensive anomaly had protected the first target. Deep beneath the Himalayas, Director John watched the NIGMA deployment with grim satisfaction. They're proceeding exactly as the behavioral models predicted. He noted to Secretary General Reyes, "Arrogance before adaptation. Activate Chimera Phase 2, Elena ordered. All Ghost Fleet units engage." In Earth orbit, behind the Moon and scattered throughout the asteroid belt, vessels that had been hidden for decades powered up. Unlike the conventional international space fleet that the public knew about, these ships incorporated technologies reverse-engineered from a crashed alien vessel discovered in Antarctica in 1973, the incident that had first alerted humanity to the existence of interstellar civilizations. Commander Sophia Duran sat in the control chair of the UES Spectre, the flagship of humanity's secret defense force. Neural interfaces connected her mind directly to the ship's systems as the stealth field that had kept them hidden for years disengaged. "Ghost Fleet activated," she reported through the Quantum Communication Network, engaging NIGMA vessels as primary targets. The NIGMA fleet detected the human ships only moments before they opened fire. Beams of focused exotic particles, technology the NIGMA believed only they possessed, lanced through space, cutting through the shields of 3 enemy vessels before they could respond. On his command ship, Varrock watched in disbelief as the tactical display showed human warships materializing behind his fleet. "Impossible," he hissed. "Where did these vessels come from? How do they possess shielding and weapons comparable to ours?" Melia worked frantically at her station. "Unknown, Commander. Their energy signatures don't match any known technology pattern in our databases. They're using principles similar to our particle lances, but with modifications we've never encountered." The NIGMA fleet, caught by surprise, quickly regrouped. They still outnumbered the human vessels and retained technological advantages in several areas. Varrock ordered a split formation. Half the fleet would continue the planetary attack while the remainder engaged the human ships. 23 NIGMA warships descended toward Earth, targeting major cities and military installations worldwide. They fired in unison, energy weapons powerful enough to vaporize entire urban centers. But Earth was ready. Across the planet, defensive shields materialized over cities and critical infrastructure. The alien weapons discharged against barriers of shimmering energy, their destructive power dissipated or redirected. In some locations, the shields failed under the onslaught. Paris, Nairobi, and Shanghai suffered partial hits, but nowhere did the NIGMA achieve the total destruction they had expected. Second wave of countermeasures activated. Director Zhang announced, studying the global tactical display. Prometheus systems engaging. Throughout Earth's atmosphere and in low orbit, thousands of autonomous defense platforms activated. Unlike the Ghost Fleet's capital ships, these were small, nimble, and nearly invisible, each no larger than a passenger car, but packed with advanced technology. They swarmed the NIGMA vessels, attaching to their hulls with specialized quantum anchors. Once secured, they began their real work, not attacking the ships directly, but infiltrating their systems. "What are these devices?" Varrock demanded as alerts flashed across his command console. "Neutralize them immediately." "They're interfacing with our systems, somehow," a technical officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. "Not through conventional data ports, but through quantum entanglement. Our firewalls are ineffective." The human defense strategy wasn't focused on destroying the NIGMA ships, at least not directly. Instead, the Prometheus systems were designed to turn the aliens' technology against them, infiltrating their computer cores and rewriting command protocols. Across the NIGMA fleet, chaos erupted. On some vessels, gravity controls reversed, sending crews crashing into ceilings. On others, life support systems recalibrated to atmospheric compositions toxic to NIGMA physiology. Weapon systems targeted other NIGMA ships, firing without command authorization. In space, the battle between the Ghost Fleet and the remaining NIGMA vessels continued. Commander Duran's forces were outnumbered but fighting with the advantage of surprise and intimate knowledge of NIGMA tactical doctrine. information gleaned from decades of covert observation and preparation. They're adapting to the Prometheus infiltration, Zhang noted as the tactical displays showed NIGMA ships beginning emergency shutdowns of affected systems, faster than we anticipated. Elena nodded. They didn't become a galactic power through stupidity. Implement Hydra Protocol. This was the contingency they had hoped wouldn't be necessary. Across Earth's surface, massive installations hidden beneath mundane structures, sports stadiums, office buildings, and nature preserves began to transform. What appeared to be ordinary architecture reconfigured to reveal planetary defense weapons of extraordinary power. In orbit, Strategic Officer Malia alerted her commander to the new development. Energy readings from the surface are spiking beyond measurement capabilities. They're deploying some kind of. Her report was cut short as the first Hydra beam fired from a facility near Lake Baikal in Siberia. Unlike conventional energy weapons, this one manipulated gravity itself, creating a localized distortion so powerful it collapsed the space around 3 NIGMA warships. The vessels didn't explode, they imploded, crushed into quantum singularities that winked out of existence moments later. Similar weapons activated worldwide, targeting the NIGMA fleet with precision. Within minutes, half the attacking force had been neutralized. High Commander Verak faced a situation no NIGMA commander had encountered in centuries, the prospect of defeat. His mandibles clicked rapidly in stress as he assessed the tactical situation. "Initiate emergency withdrawal," he ordered finally. "All vessels, retreat to safe jump coordinates." "Commander," Malia objected, "the Empire does not to any species that wishes to break free from NIGMA control." Korix's compound eyes fixed on the display, his mandibles completely still, the NIGMA expression of absolute shock. "Impossible. No species has ever penetrated our borders undetected. You should understand something fundamental about humans," Dern continued. "Throughout our history, we've faced extinction multiple times, from nature, from ourselves, from our own technologies. It's made us uniquely adapted to recognize and respond to existential threats. When we detected your probe in our system 20 years ago, we didn't just prepare defenses, we prepared a complete response, including the liberation of every world you've subjugated." The scale of humanity's response was finally becoming clear to the NIGMA commander. What he had dismissed as a primitive world with stolen technology was revealing itself as something his species had never encountered before, a civilization that developed specifically in response to the threat his empire represented. "Take them into custody," Dern ordered her team. "Secure the ship's database core and prepare for extraction. Earth needs to know what we've learned." As the human forces secured their unprecedented victory, the quantum communication nodes throughout NIGMA space activated simultaneously, broadcasting evidence of the Empire's defeat and offering something many subjugated worlds had never dared hope for, the possibility of freedom, backed by a species powerful enough to challenge their oppressors. The tables had not just turned, they had been completely overturned, and the galaxy would never be the same. A new galactic order. 6 months after the Battle of Emergence Point, as it came to be known, Secretary General Elena Reyes stood before the newly formed Galactic Cooperation Council in what had once been the United Nations General Assembly Hall in New York. Representatives from 27 alien species filled the chamber. Delegates from worlds formerly under NIGMA control, now part of a rapidly expanding alliance centered around Earth. Some appeared physically, others as holographic projections, their diverse biologies requiring specialized environments that couldn't be easily accommodated in a single facility. Less than a year ago, Elena began. Humanity stood alone against what we believed was an overwhelming threat. Today, we stand together with dozens of civilizations, many far older than our own, united in a common purpose, ensuring that no empire like the NIGMA can ever again subjugate free worlds. The fall of the NIGMA empire had occurred with a speed that shocked even the most optimistic human strategists. The quantum communication network established by Earth's stealth vessels had triggered something the NIGMA had never anticipated: coordinated rebellions across multiple star systems simultaneously. Humans, by contrast, had evolved in an environment of constant competition, both against nature and against each other. Warfare had been a driving force in human technological development for millennia. This created a species that, while less technologically advanced in absolute terms, was extraordinarily adaptive and innovative, particularly under threat. At the Lunar Scientific Complex, Dr. Imani Washington led the team analyzing NIGMA technology. Her background in quantum physics had made her one of the first scientists recruited into the classified program decades earlier. Their technology isn't fundamentally different from our adaptations of the Antarctic vessel's systems, she explained to the visiting Secretary General. The principles are similar, but they've had thousands of years to refine them. What's fascinating is their blind spots. Blind spots? Elena asked. Dr. Washington gestured to a holographic display showing the internal structure of a NIGMA ship. They design perfectly, but linearly. Every system serves its exact purpose with maximum efficiency. There's no redundancy, no repurposing capability. When their gravity control was compromised, they had no backup systems because they couldn't conceive of their primary system failing. And that's our opening, Elena realized. Exactly. Humans build messily, with backups for backups. We repurpose technologies in ways their original designers never intended. We celebrate hacks and workarounds. The NIGMA see that as inefficient. They don't understand that what looks like inefficiency is actually adaptability. This insight drove the next phase of Earth's preparations, rather than trying to match NIGMA technology directly, an impossible task given their head start of thousands of years. Humanity would focus on asymmetric advantages, exploiting the rigid thinking that characterized their enemy. In military installations worldwide, conventional forces trained alongside the specialized units of the Chimera Defense Force, learning to integrate traditional tactics with the advanced technologies now being openly deployed. At the orbital shipyards revealed in Earth's L5 point, construction accelerated on new vessels for the Ghost Fleet, incorporating lessons learned from the first encounter. Unlike the methodical, specialized ship designs favored by the NIGMA, these vessels emphasized flexibility, with modular systems that could be reconfigured even during battle. But humanity's greatest work happened in the realm of information warfare. The Prometheus systems, named for the Titan who gave fire to humanity in ancient mythology, were being completely redesigned based on analysis of recovered NIGMA technology. In her laboratory beneath MIT, Dr. Sophia Chen led the team developing what she called quantum viruses, infiltration systems that operated not through conventional computer interfaces, but through the fundamental quantum principles that underpinned NIGMA technology. Their countermeasures are focused on protecting their network architecture, she explained to Director Zhang during an inspection. But they're still thinking in terms of conventional cybersecurity: barriers, firewalls, authentication protocols. Our approach bypasses all of that by targeting the quantum substrate of their systems. Zhang looked skeptical. Explain it in terms a career military officer can understand, Doctor. Dr. Chen smiled. They've built better locks for their doors and windows. We're going to walk through the walls instead. The quantum viruses represented a fundamentally human approach to warfare: creative, unexpected, and exploiting assumptions in the enemy's thinking. Where the NIGMA relied on overwhelming force and technological superiority, humans would rely on ingenuity and adaptability. As the deadline approached, Earth made one more preparation, one that reflected another uniquely human characteristic. Secretary General Rice addressed the Defense Council. The NIGMA expect us to wait for their attack, to play defense as we did in the first encounter. Instead, we're going to take the fight to them. The plan was audacious, bordering on reckless. While the bulk of Earth's forces would remain to defend the planet, a strike force led by Commander Duran would conduct a preemptive attack against the incoming NIGMA fleet. "We'll catch them during their hyperspace emergence," Dern explained. "Their sensors will be recalibrating, their shields temporarily weakened. We'll deploy the quantum viruses before they even know we're there." "The risk is enormous," John cautioned. "If the strike fails, those ships and crews will be lost." "The greater risk is waiting for them to attack on their terms," Elena countered. "Humanity has always been at its best when taking calculated risks." 3 days before the NIGMA fleet was expected to arrive, 12 Ghost Fleet vessels departed Earth orbit, accelerating to their newly developed faster-than-light capability. Another technology, reverse-engineered from the Antarctic vessel but significantly improved upon through human innovation. Among the crew of the lead vessel, the UES Defiant, Lieutenant Kara Chen, Dr. Chen's daughter, managed the deployment of the quantum virus delivery systems. Like many in the Ghost Fleet, she represented a new generation of humans who had grown up in the shadow of the classified program, their entire lives dedicated to preparing for this conflict. "Nervous?" asked her station partner, Lieutenant Marcus Okafor. Kara checked her systems one final time before answering. "No, my mother always told me we'd face this day, eventually. The NIGMA have conquered dozens of worlds because those species weren't prepared. We've been preparing for 75 years. As the strike force accelerated beyond the orbit of Mars, Commander Dern addressed her crews with characteristic brevity. "For generations, humanity has waited and prepared. Today, we show the galaxy what humans do best. We fight back against impossible odds, we adapt to overcome superior force, and we never ever surrender our home. The NIGMA think they're hunters. We're about to show them what it means to be prey." The human vessels vanished into the darkness between stars, carrying with them humanity's greatest weapons, not just advanced technology, but courage, creativity, and the fierce determination of a species that had spent its entire history fighting to survive. Tables turned. At the calculated emergence point 17 light hours from Earth, the NIGMA battle fleet prepared to return to normal space. Aboard the Dominance, the massive flagship leading a force 3 times larger than the previous attack fleet, Grand Marshal Corix reviewed the battle plans one final time. The humans demonstrated unexpected capabilities, he acknowledged to his assembled commanders. But we now understand their technological level and have prepared countermeasures. Their defenses will not surprise us again. Among his officers, only Strategic Commander Malia, promoted after surviving the first engagement, showed any hesitation. "Grand Marshal, I recommend caution. The humans' technological development pattern is abnormal. They appear to have made significant leaps in specific areas while neglecting others." Corix's mandibles clicked dismissively. Inconsistent development indicates technological theft rather than natural progression. They've acquired advanced systems they don't fully understand. This makes them dangerous but predictable. They cannot have substantially improved their capabilities in the brief time since our first encounter. The NIGMA vessels began the complex transition from hyperspace, their massive engines generating controlled quantum fields that would allow them to re-enter normal spacetime. It was the most vulnerable moment in any journey. Sensors limited, shields at minimum power, weapon systems offline. Perfect for an ambush. Commander Dern watched from the bridge of the UES Defiant as her sensors detected the quantum distortions of the approaching NIGMA fleet. All vessels maintain stealth protocols. Weapons hot, quantum virus deployment systems ready. They'll emerge in Sector 4 in 30 seconds. The human strike force had positioned itself in a 3-dimensional formation surrounding the calculated emergence point. Unlike conventional military vessels that relied on overwhelming firepower, these ships were designed around stealth and electronic warfare capabilities, with physical weapons as a secondary consideration. The space ahead of them distorted as the first NIGMA vessels began to appear, massive crystalline structures sliding into reality like icebergs materializing in empty ocean. Their sensor arrays were still recalibrating, their defensive systems operating at minimum capacity. Execute Operation Thunderclap, Dern ordered. Across the human formation, specialized launch systems activated, sending thousands of tiny projectiles toward the emerging NIGMA fleet. These weren't conventional weapons, but delivery systems for Dr. Chen's quantum viruses, microscopic devices that could attach to the crystalline surfaces of NIGMA ships and inject reprogrammed quantum algorithms directly into their technological substrate. On the bridge of the Dominance, alarms blared as emergence completed. Multiple objects approaching, reported the sensor officer. Too small for missiles, too fast for debris. Before Korix could respond, the first wave of quantum devices reached their targets, attaching to hull surfaces throughout the fleet. Unlike the previous attacks, Prometheus systems, which had attempted to hack NIGMA computers through conventional means, these devices operated on a more fundamental level, altering the quantum states that NIGMA technology used for computation and energy management. Unknown devices attaching to outer hull, reported a technical officer, mandibles clicking rapidly in stress. They're not penetrating, but retreat. The supreme hierarchy will. They will understand when they see our battle records, Verok cut her off. These humans possess technology far beyond their apparent development stage. We need reinforcements and a revised strategy. The surviving NIGMA vessels disengage, using emergency propulsion to escape Earth's gravity well. Several were too damaged to make the jump to hyperspace and were abandoned by their fleeing comrades. In the Himalayan Command Center, Earth's leaders watched as the NIGMA fleet retreated. They'll be back, Zhang said quietly, and in greater numbers. Elena nodded. We've survived the first attack. That's more than most species can claim against the NIGMA. But this was just the beginning. On one of the disabled NIGMA vessels now drifting in Earth orbit, a specialized team from the Ghost Fleet conducted the first boarding operation. Commander Duran led the team personally, stepping onto alien deck plates with a mixture of caution and curiosity. Secure the ship's database core, she ordered her team. We need to know everything. Their capabilities, their numbers, and most importantly, how long we have before they return. The first battle was over. Earth had survived, even triumphed, but at a cost. Parts of 3 major cities lay in ruins. Thousands of civilians had died where defensive shields had failed. And the NIGMA now knew that humanity was not the easy conquest they had anticipated. The real war was just beginning. The human advantage. In the 3 weeks following the NIGMA retreat, Earth transformed. The masks of normalcy that had hidden humanity's true technological capabilities for generations were discarded as the planet prepared for the inevitable return of the alien fleet. Cities worldwide now openly displayed their defensive shield generators. The Ghost Fleet patrolled visibly in orbit, no longer concealed behind stealth fields, and most significantly, the United Earth government finally revealed the truth about humanity's technological development to its citizens. In a global broadcast watched by over 9 billion people, Secretary General Elena Reyes stood before the General Assembly in Geneva. For 75 years, she began, your governments have concealed certain truths. In 1973, an extraterrestrial vessel crashed in Antarctica. From that wreckage, we recovered technologies and information that changed our understanding of the universe. We learned that we are not alone, and that many of the species sharing our galaxy are hostile predators. She paused, letting the gravity of her words sink in. The decision to keep these discoveries secret was not made lightly. It was made to prevent panic, yes, but more importantly, to give humanity time to prepare. Time to develop defensive technologies in secret while presenting a facade of normal scientific progression to any watching eyes. Time to build the Ghost Fleet and the Chimera Defense Network without alerting potential enemies to our capabilities. Across the planet, reactions varied from shock to vindication among the conspiracy theorists who had suspected parts of the truth for decades. But overwhelmingly, the response was unity. a collective understanding that humanity now faced an existential threat that transcended old national rivalries and ideological divisions. In orbit, Commander Dern supervised the examination of the captured NIGMA vessels. The boarding teams had recovered intact data cores, providing invaluable intelligence about their enemy. Their next attack force will be at least 3 times larger, she reported to the UEG Defense Council. Based on their communication logs, the nearest NIGMA battle group can reach our system in approximately 17 days. Director Zhang nodded grimly. And their technological adaptations. They're already implementing countermeasures against our Prometheus infiltration systems, Duran answered. Their quantum shielding algorithms are being reconfigured to prevent our hack attacks. We won't catch them the same way twice. That's the pattern we anticipated, Zhang replied. It's the human advantage. We adapt faster because we've had to evolve in a constant state of conflict with ourselves. The NIGMA evolved as apex predators without significant competition. They're powerful but predictable. This was the core insight that had guided Earth's defense strategy for decades. Analysis of the crashed alien vessel had revealed not just technology, but cultural and biological information about various species. The NIGMA empire, they had learned, had evolved in an environment where their species faced few natural threats. Their technological development had been methodical, linear, and uncontested.